It's another day, another draft here on Splash Play. Draft number 101 for me, streamed on the year. So we head into another Best Ball Mania, competing for $1.5 million to first place. It's going to be a fun ride so far through the first 100 of stream drafts. Let's see how we stick the landing in the back half. I am already in a draft room here, picking in the 12th spot that I am all too familiar with lately. A lot of picking at the back half of rounds overall for me so far, but we'll see if we can put together a nice team there. Perhaps the man, the thumbnail, be coming my way once again, which, as we know, would tempt me into my vice, my addiction, drafting Jaden Daniels. And now, the big news of the day. If you have not been following, of course, 32 beat writers, the Coach Speak Index, 2 Twitter handles that I think add the most value this time of year in the offseason. A lot of great hype for Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin yesterday. Terry McLaurin working on his yards after catch ability, getting exalted a little bit by Dan Quinn for his effort to be truly great at his position. And Terry McLaurin basically putting out a press conference, just sucking off Jaden. I hate to use the phrase sucking off 1 minute into the video, but just like filleting Jaden Daniels, talking about what a great passer he is, how he cares more about the QB position than any other QB Terry's had in his life, how he's the first QB Terry's ever had who's asked him to stay after practice to work on certain reps, to work on certain routes. So to me, look, that's not the hype you get in terms of highlight reel clips of Jaden Daniels throwing downfield, even though he does have some really nice accurate throws into the nets that they have on the practice field there, like 20 yards away, just like dead accurate middle square of the nets that they try to target. Jaden hasn't had those big highlights necessarily besides the one Jahan Dotson play we saw earlier in OTAs. But to me, getting that positive cosign on Jaden Daniels being the first guy in the building for the Commanders, Terry McLaurin enjoying working with him, seemingly like almost overwhelmed with joy of what he's going to get to do this year with Jaden Daniels. That's the steam we're looking for. So we'll see how we materialize that in this draft today. This start here, I feel like a common one for me, but I don't really have the comfort going up to get an Olave, going up to get an Ayuk. And also, I'm not sold on Jahmyr Gibbs at this situation. So I am, in fact, going to go with a Marvin Harrison, Drake London stot. And you guys know my OCD here. Whenever we get the guy in the thumbnail falling naturally in a position where we can draft him, I am very happy to do that. So Drake London, the pick with Marvin Harrison. Again, a start to me that feels like minus the week 17 correlation. Feels like CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown last year. Just 2 players I like a lot for their spots. Happy to take them on the turn. That said, maybe something I have to watch out for as we get deeper into BBM with watching my exposure on these 2 at the turn. Especially if I can't get higher in the draft position overall. Picking in the 12 spot really limits what you're doing. We got GMs are bound here. Lots of great creators, Fantasy Football Garage and Bindles here doing the thing. But even if you're not a creator, I appreciate your GM all the same. Finally got the notification to alert me so I could be here on time. Yeah, make sure to hit the notification bell so you know when I actually do start live. Of course, drafts will be going every day, Monday to Saturday at 11 a.m. Sometimes I start right at 11. Sometimes I start a little bit earlier on this side because it just depends when the rooms fill primarily. And today the result is we have a room where I don't know any of the names in here. So if you're in this room and you're a regular in chat, let me know because I do not recognize anybody here. Maybe Chowderhound, this guy right here. I've seen the name before. So hopefully that means we get some fun here. Of course, when we do have a rando rooms, the difference between that and the OG rooms, the regular rooms, let's say, a lot more likelihood of direct sniping that has just no relevance to the person's team. So that's what we'll be watching out for here, especially with Kyler Murray, if we do go that route with Marvin Harrison, and less so with Kirk Cousins if we wanted to take him with Drake London. I appreciate all you guys being here. It's Hump Day, Wednesday. So we got a lot going on, I'm sure, in your work day. But let's keep it going. And tomorrow, easy sledding, right? Thursday, Friday, easy sledding. One programming note, no Splash Play on Friday. I will be at a presentation thing from fucking 8:30 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. So important for Probably, very important as well. A great day if you want to go support Probably to do that. Probably.com/subscribe. Promo code SPLASH gets you half off a month. And for the rest of this week, a year. I'm actually going to end the yearly deal at the end of this week just because it's cost us a lot of money. And I don't know that's doing a lot for us. So that's coming up to end this week. So if you want to get a year for under $100, now's the time to do that at probably.com/subscribe with the promo code SPLASH. We have a big presentation on Friday, so no stream on Friday because then we also have the kids' yearly party for his daycare in the afternoon, so I can't put out an afternoon draft. So Saturday, we'll do drafters, but no Friday BBM for me this week. Sad to see it. I hate breaking the 6-day week cycle now, but ultimately, we got to do what we got to do. They want to be in the draft with Spags, not good EV. There we go. And here we go. This guy's in the 1 hole. We got 1 person in here. 2 in the thoughts is in the 1 hole. GM, appreciate you being here. Getting close to that actual 11 o'clock start times. the viewers will go up and they're going to come back and see me have a sick team. This guy going heavy RB to start. As you guys saw on Monday's stream, where I did do a really weird draft where Drake London was my only receiver pick in the first 75 picks. Did not enjoy that build necessarily, though. A lot of comments, people like, love the contrarian build, which I think really the point of it was like, hey, let's see if we could do this build, but ultimately it's probably not a high EV build to do very often. That said, you know, those kind of teams, I at least like deviated, got some other positions, got elite QB, got elite tight end. If you're just steaming running backs early, you do run the risk of getting buried at every other position. But we'll see what old Ball Don't Lie does in the 7 hole. Non-badge drafter doesn't mean he's a bad drafter. Just means that we got to cast a quizzical eye towards him and see what he does. All right, next pick coming up for me here. Falling elite QBs, or quote unquote falling, really not. Honestly, at this point, their ADPs are basically right where we are. So common pick, I am sure, at the 1-2 turn. As you can see here, I do have Trey McBride valued pretty decently. Definitely a pick that I'm comfortable taking a lot of. Zay Flowers, the vaguest of discounts for him. Pacheco, somebody I want to up my exposure to, but I'm not sure I want to do that with a 10-pick reach. I feel like I take a lot of Zay in the spot just because he's the receiver here. Because like Tank Dell never makes it back to me at the turn. We're going to go Zay Flowers. And we are going to go Trey McBride for the double here with Arizona. Hopefully this will be a Kyler team. If not, though, we'll be prepared to get screwed somewhere else. And theoretically, this would knock me out of the Kyle Pitts, Drake London business, though we'll see how I handle that. I do sometimes still like taking that build, even though question the value of 2 elite tight ends, or 2 quote-unquote elite tight ends based upon the ADPs. Just heard Keenan Allen outproduced DJ Moore and Hollywood Brown. Did someone take the red pill? I don't know about him outproducing DJ Moore. I think Hollywood Brown, pretty decent shot of that. Keenan Allen's a very productive receiver. I mean, last year was, in a lot of metrics, his most productive year ever, at least the per play stuff, the EPA metrics, and frankly, his target earning in different spots of the field was his best year yet. The issue for Keenan Allen is that you do have DJ Moore there. You do have a good running game there, theoretically, and you do also have an ascendant player in Rome Odunze there. But I still think his talent, Caleb Williams' skill, like if those are the questions that you have at this point, yet Keenan Allen's getting old, but he's the most precise route runner in the league, who also showed a lot more downfield than he ever showed in his career last year. So you have this guy, you know, I think that's really the bet I want to make still, especially if he's going to fall into the mid-50s. Keenan Allen, to me, a little bit too cheap. I think he should go more in that. He should go at least buy Christian Kirk. He's close enough to Christian Kirk that I'm probably critiquing that more than I should. And there goes Christian Kirk at 43, so never mind. This is a room where Pickens goes 42, which is around his normal ADP. Kirk, though, I think normally at 48, so 46 now. So a little bit of a reach for Kirk. He was at 48, I believe, over the weekend when I updated my Spags rankings, which, of course, you can get for yourself. Hit the join button down below. You get my weekly updated rankings with almost 275 blurbs for players as well. That includes players like Eric All. That includes players like Eric Gray. I now have blurbs for like everybody you could possibly have, so check that out for yourself if you want by hitting the join button. Also a great way to support the channel. And you also, with that, get a VIP Discord and 10 team reviews a month for me if you want. And I do be getting a lot more this time of year, so I'm hitting them in batches when I do get to them. But send them to me on Discord and you're getting them. Unfortunately, my Instagram is still down because support has not gone back to me for my shit being disabled for no reason. And then Twitter, it's just easier on Discord, honestly. Terry McLaurin goes at 48. No way he was going to come back to me at 60, but what a world that would be. Do you think McLaurin, if we start to see visual evidence of what we saw, again, in the quotes that I talked about earlier in the video of McLaurin wanting to hit another level as a yak player, wanting to find himself a way to be greater as a player, but also speaking so highly of his work with Jaden Daniels so far and Jaden Daniels' ability as a QB and what he thinks he's going to be, I think that McLaurin has a rise for him still into... Like, this area, to me, with Pickens and Kirk is soft. I think McLaurin can get here. People might disagree, but Cooper's holding out right now. Amari Cooper is one of the guys who's continuing his holdout. Jamar Chase has ended his. Seems like Chase is doing a hold in instead, where he's showing up so he won't get fined, but he probably won't practice, would be my guess, until he gets a deal. So that's how that's going right now. T. Higgins still holding out. I think those are the main ones. Kamara was back, so he's not holding out for a deal, which is smart by him because he wasn't going to get a deal. Cortland Sutton not holding out. He's back. I don't know if there's anybody else. Jefferson obviously signed. Tyreek, I don't know actually if Tyreek's been in practice. But he was somebody who wants a new deal as well and has wanted a new deal since the end of the 2023 season, apparently. I like Terry in that take. Look, I hope so. Look, if Terry McLaurin goes to the 40s, I've gotten my closing line value on him already. I'd be happy with that. I just think, to me, I think there is a Washington steam coming. I like how Dan Quinn sounds in conferences. Like, obviously, that's not everything. Pack Horse with his double elite tight end and Kyle Pitts saves me from taking Kyle Pitts as one of my 2 picks coming up. But I don't know. Like, I like the vibes from the Commanders. I think Cliff Kingsbury's learned, though he really did just kill my alma mater USC last year with a mediocre offense, really bad protection in general. All right, so we're on the clock here. I mean, AR is always fun. A Mixon Zay combo is fun for one of these picks. So I think we're going to end our RB fast for now, and we'll have Mixon as our quote hero RB. I feel like I'm doing quote unquote too much today. Besides that, Addison has had some nice camp reviews. I think he'd be a solid pick. Worthy, the better pick in ADP. I worry about that room a little bit, just being too crowded for him to get where he needs to go. And, you know, AR would be fun here. Stroud, I don't know what we're doing without the pass catchers. I think that's a little bit weak. AR would be fun here. But I don't think that's the fit for me. Chris Godwin's getting some decent camp hype too. Let's go Jordan Addison. I like Addison here. I've liked the bet on Minnesota more in general than the market because of the fact, I guess Jefferson's come up enough, though. To me, like, you can make the case that Jefferson can go ahead of Tyreek if you really wanted to make a bet on Minnesota. But for the Vikings, there's no TJ Hawkinson out there. There's wide receiver 3 is Brandon Powell right now because even Naylor is too banged up to be going. There's just nobody out there to take targets away from Jefferson and Addison. Now, if you think the QB situation is bad, and by all reports, Sam Darnold has looked really good. McCarthy has looked good velocity-wise, but has some issues with accuracy, which I expect him to correct because he was an accurate QB in college. But it seems like no matter what, the QB situation is going to be good. There's really no threat for pass game targets unless you think Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler are getting like 6 targets a game each, which may be in the range of outcomes, but not the most likely they're both going to hit quite that much work. Where is the ball going to in that offense? Like, I think it's Jordan Addison. So going to make that bet here. Like Addison a lot. People wanted me to go AR. I didn't go AR here. I get it. I should have. Diving into DFS golf shoots weekend. No. Unfortunately, at this point of where we are, just to be real with you guys here, like, I've been working on Splash Play and probably since September of last year. And Football Outsiders rug pulled me and owed me and it owed me at one point $50,000. Closed out owed me like just shy of $30,000. So like, for me, I don't have enough bankroll right now. My bankroll goes to funding probably every month. We have to pay our data provider, OddsJam, and we have to pay our Amazon bills. And then to whatever money I could chip in the house right now is Alex, like my wife, mostly keeps us afloat in the meantime. So that's the downside of it, is like, just haven't had enough, like, I don't have enough bankroll to play everything I want right now. And the time too, frankly, has been tough. Like for NBA DFS, I could have made a little more, could have made it work for NBA DFS more in terms of what I would get out of my bankroll there. But, didn't really, just doesn't work with the child schedule. Like Luca's up until 7:30 and I'm doing bath time with him from like 6:50 to 7:30. So it's been tough on my gambling. At a certain point, it'll level out, especially, if we can raise money for probably, then obviously one hand washes the other with how all that goes. But it's been a tough time for me. That's why, like, people support the channel means a lot. Because it's just like, I'm trying to build businesses like right now. And it's really hard to do that when you weren't prepared to do that, but you kind of, got forced in the situation because your employer was historically incompetent and lost the best year you gave them profit wise and traffic wise. But that's me complaining about a thing I've probably complained about too much over the course of the last year and change. But when you get screwed out of that much money by a job you did like your best work for, it's one of those things where it's like very hard to recalibrate yourself. That's why Splash Play has been very important to me, to throw myself into something. And probably too, though probably is just like costs enough to do that it's like difficult. For Splash Play, it's like I get to throw myself in and, try to make something of value. And also building it by myself is like a lot of fun. Like I limit myself in terms of upside because of shit like me going off on a rant like this, 13 minutes in a video, people just want to hear football takes. But it's like an outlet for me and it's a thing that I get joy from. So being able to do it, very appreciative of it. I know it probably should have been a spiel I gave in the 100th draft stream of the year, but instead we're giving it on 101. We're giving it on the Dalmatians draft. Anyway, back to football here. AR fell to me at 79. 97 would be crazy. 79 in a poodle draft, though, is pretty good. Like AR falling to you wherever, as I've said, if he's going to go 70 in any room, you should be scooping him up and just figure it out. Take the chalky AD Mitchell, take the chalky Josh Downs, even Jelani Woods in round 18, I think is a play you can go to now. So that's really the stuff that I would say. I like AR with Pittman, but Pittman's price tag just doesn't work for me this year. So I guess I have to get more comfortable with the fact that like I probably won't have as much of AR's best version of a stack, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping that Christian Watson would come back to me at 84 for a fun version of Minnesota Green Bay that I believe in. Obviously, we still have Romeo Dobbs late, who I don't believe in very much. Wicks, who I think is blocked by Dobbs because of Dobbs' connection with Love. And then we have Bo Melton for free at the end, I suppose. None of them excite me too much. So that took away one of the picks that I was locked in my head to making if we got there. I think the other picks here, there's definitely enough to do if we don't have Christian Watson. So we'll survive. Go Pack, go indeed. Go Pack, go. Look, Christian Watson, to me, he could work his way up to the 60s, late 60s, and I wouldn't be mad at it. But Jaden Reed's coming up. I don't know. Maybe both those guys come up as the market starts to get more confidence. They're like a clear 1-2. Not really sure what that situation is going to be. Rashee Rice wasn't a consideration for me. Sutton. All right, so it seems like receiver is an issue. The good news is we don't really need receiver here. Kyler's got to be one of these picks. We have our Arizona double, obviously. And now we have the bet on Minnesota. We could, this is a tough call. So we could try to get Ty Chandler late. Chandler probably a little bit undervalued because of the fact that he's now seemingly in more of a timeshare with Aaron Jones than the markets initially had. But Aaron Jones here, he's fallen to 77. I'm getting him at 85. If he's going to start to go in this James Conner range, I think he's a good pick. Other guys in this range, I guess I haven't talked enough about the concept of the video. Guys could have their best year. Zamir White is one of those guys right now I think is getting the hype that would make you believe he can have his best year. Some of the guys I've taken in this draft, I think Drake London is going to have his best year. Zay Flowers in year 2, I'd expect to have his best year. Harrison's year 1, he should too. And McBride having the ability, really this team ended up being one that I think it can be all the best years for all these guys. Let's give the team a read here. So we have Kyler Murray at QB. So we got him 3 picks after ADP. Not that bad. Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones at RB. Wide receiver, Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. And we have Trey McBride. So no Rams correlation for Arizona in week 17. It would be nice to get that a little bit later in the draft. But we have the Arizona premium double. We have Zay Flowers with the bring back of Joe Mixon, which to me, I think is how that game script goes. I think it's a Mixon game as long as he's alive and Houston's as good as I think they're going to be in week 17. Aaron Jones, we got him at a nice discount with Jordan Addison. Think maybe because we had to take Kyler. The only thing that would have made this more fun is getting Watson with Addison, but we got the big discount on Jones. So I like how the team's shaping up. I'm happy with the start. All right, let's see what we got here. Is Denver going to have a pass game this year? Yes, it'll probably be one that plays right into Bo Nix's hands. A timing-based one, a West Coasty one, shorter throws. All those things are going to be good for Bo Nix and what Sean Payton wants to do. So I think they will have a pass game, yeah, and I think it'll probably run well. I don't know about the air yards per game. Like, I don't think Bo Nix is getting a ton of, 50-yard shots. I think he's getting the Will Levis treatment in terms of just having, the ability to get designed downfield throws over and over again. But, that said, I still think that, to me, Denver is a team that I'm willing to buy as a late stack. And I do think Bo Nix, really talented with what he did in college. A lot of that could have been the scheme, Oregon, not quite Tennessee in terms of the Mickey Mouse / video game style offenses, but still definitely an offense that had a lot of success. And, that definitely, in my mind, makes Bucky Irving, makes Troy Franklin, makes Bo Nix valuable, but maybe it's just an Oregon thing. And if so, that's definitely a blind spot in my approaches here. So that's how that goes. Nothing else I'm seeing. We got to answer in chat. We got some more GMs. Appreciate all you guys being here. Again, if you're watching live or after the fact, we're doing drafts every Monday to Saturday. They're starting, at a variable time based on when the rooms fill, but definitely going every day at 11 a.m. So please do subscribe down below. Again, drafts Monday to Friday on Underdog here doing BBM exclusively drafts. And on Saturday, I do a Drafters Million draft, courtesy of them. So check them out as well. Promo code SPLASH on Drafters up to $100 deposit match. So I'll be back on Saturday again doing that draft when we do miss the Friday stream. Again, I hate saying I do drafts Monday to Saturday. I'm but not this Friday. But I do really mostly hit my targets here and stream output if nothing else. Stream quality, throw that out the window. Stream output though, that's where we're crushing it. Got to figure out at some point. I don't know if anybody out there is a math nerd who can make a bot to do this. If anybody out there is the kind of person that can tell me how many drafts Pete did last year, because I think he's the record holder right now for most drafts in a year. I know he did a streamed 150, of course, for BBM. But on top of that, I have to guess he has maybe 15. So that's the mark I have to beat, is my guess. Like I have to probably put up 170 drafts to set the record this year, maybe 175. But everybody wants to do the math on really esoteric bullshit. Please let me know. If not, I might have to do it myself at some point. Streaming is a volume game. It's true. Speaking of a volume game, we got 2 picks coming up here. Don't think Bo Nix is ridiculously talented, but think he can run an offense. Well, that's what I've said about him from the jump. He's a system guy, but if the system is good and it plays to his strengths, he's going to be okay. He's not like the kind of guy you drop at a playground and expect to have a ton of success. I think that'd be the difference point there. So a 1-2-4-1 here. Again, I think we got to be okay letting receiver hang out for a little bit with our top 4. Brock Bowers feels like a good pick to me. Trying to think if there's anything else to do that would be correlation-wise. Benson would correlate for our bet on Arizona. Brian Robinson would be a bring back for the little bet that we have on Drake London. Do you think Robinson's more talented and probably going to come up in ADP with, again, another week of talking about him being the bell cow with coach quotes, backing that up? But Benson does correlate better. I think this team needs more floor than just, I think Benson is at best an occasional spike week guy. I'm going to go Brian Robinson here. Again, a cozy bet for me, but to me, he's the pick in that backfield for Washington. Happy to take Eckler if he falls to me, but Brian Robinson, I think, is a much better pick, and we're getting him at ADP. Team so far is a 1-3-4-2, so we're going to have to get wide receiver a little bit late, but I have confidence in that. You guys saw me build a 10-receiver team. I only took 1 receiver in the first 75 picks. Not where I want to build, but I think you can build teams that make sense with late receivers, especially if you do the work diving deep on guys like we do here. So that's what we're going to try to do. So the team so far, again, 1-3-4-2, Kyler Murray, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, and then a tight end, we have Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. So Bowers fell in a range where I just thought he was undervalued, going almost at 110. So got him at pick 108. That's really the logic there. Maybe it makes me a little bit drier at other positions than I should be, but I don't think that going up for Josh Palmer, going up for A.D. Mitchell, I don't think either of those things did anything for me. So that's my logic on it. People may feel differently, but we'll see what we get on the way back. I think this was a pocket, though, where running back looks a lot better than receiver, and Bowers past ADP. Like, to me, he still shouldn't go really past 100, and here he is. Lead tight end plus Bowers feels really strong. It does. The issue is just like, what does it cost you at receiver? I think in this room, it didn't cost me much, but there was a little bit of an avalanche that went here. Some guys going earlier, so maybe I'm not feeling like it cost me much because like I'm going for a later part of drafts. It's hard to say. Then you go Benson, the Arizona correlation. I just don't love him as an RB3, honestly. Like, I don't think he's the guy that I trust to have a major role. To me, he should be priced more. I think he should be priced more in that Blake Corum area. Like, I think he's probably got a more secure pass game role. But Connor was an efficiency beast and a volume beast last year. I think they lean on him. So that's my feeling about it. But I agree that the correlation for Arizona is good. We got a premium double. We have Kyler, who's going to run theoretically for a certain amount of production anyway. I don't know that we needed Benson in this build, and combine that with my reservations. That's how you get it. Flock Fancy did a 24-hour stream last year and messed his voice up. He's doing the shtick voice. You can't do a shtick voice for 24 hours. Like, I could do the welcome to the family voice, but I do it for like 30 seconds and then you cut it off. If I were doing this for 24 hours, because I'm not a real person and I'm just trying to get hired to do network coverage of things, then maybe I would do a shtick voice. But that's the point, though. It's like, if you do the shtick voice, you can't do it forever. You got to do it for bursts. So that's probably why he's talking like a normal person this year. It's just he's like, fuck, man, I can't keep doing the bit voice anymore. There you go. Got a lot. Look, I know we got a lot of Flock watchers. I watch Flock just for the entertainment. If you follow any of his insights, you might come out dumber. Look, I'm sure he's got some good insights too. I know from when I was, checked the streams a little bit more and we had our quote unquote beef that ended with him sending a really uncomfortable DM of like trying to intimidate me and Pete back in the day before he'd actually met Pete in person. To me, I don't know, maybe he's really sharp now. I just think the shtick thing is funny. But I told you guys when I watched his stream the other week, when I was like, somebody asked me to do the impression, I'm like, I don't know that I can do the impression anymore because he's not doing the voice. Like, whatever you could say about my flaws in life, you can go back to my days at Barstool. My voice has been the same. I've never done a fake presenter voice. So I've got that going for me for better and probably more likely worse. But I wonder though, like if he's got enough followers, I feel like if you were a follower of his channel, I'd be like, where'd the voice go, man? Like what happened to your voice? What, like why do you have a different voice? Like I would ask, are you a different fantasy flock? Like people who think like on what is that on Bewitched where they replaced the husband when he died? We have a 1-3-4-2 here. All right, Jahan Dotson correlates with our Washington bet. He's not making it back to the guy with Terry McLaurin anyway and Jaden. So we're going to take him as one of the picks. I'm not going to select him yet. Zeke would be a good pick. Green Bay, we need a Green Bay bring back, and we have Marshawn Lloyd here. I'd be comfortable taking Leggett, but I think this pushes me towards Lloyd. Not a big enough discount on Zeke for me to worry about that, though I do have Zeke ranked higher. So we're going to take Dotson for one of the picks. You love when you pull up your player and the news item is concludes disappointing 2023, but he'll be fine. So a 1-4-5-2 here. Going to have to figure out QB later on, but not worried about that yet. Let's give the team a read. We got a 1-4-5-2. We've got Kyler Murray at QB. We've got Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson Jr., one of the few guys who kept his junior and his last name on Underdog, who lost a bunch of juniors this past week. Marshawn Lloyd, RB4. Marvin Harrison, again, no junior. Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Jahan Dotson. And then we have Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. So we're definitely done at tight end. I like the receiver room. Think we have to continue to hit the position a little bit more. Wouldn't say we're done at RB or anything, but I feel like this is a pretty decent RB room that probably doesn't need to get to 6 unless we go much later for our RB5. But I like how the team is looking. We'll see if we can land the plane, as we always try to do here. This is the cheapest Bowers will ever be. I'm taking him past 95 every time. I agree. I mean, I think it's possible he could fall a little bit more throughout the course of camp, especially if we see like, oh, Michael Mayer's having his best season ever kind of stuff, which Mayer might because he's in the like legit, probably the best shape he's been in, both in college and as a pro. So I think that's still a chance you have that could knock, could knock Michael Mayer down. He can't go down any further. Could knock Brock Bowers down. I also just feel like there's a lot of people in the industry who are like down on Brock Bowers. I don't get why. Maybe not having the athletic testing kind of spooks them off a little bit, but I wouldn't be shocked if there wasn't, a big move up for Bowers at this point, even though kind of crazy that he was going in like the 70s in the big board and now he's down to the 100. That just tells me that like the more casual markets who are not doing big board drafts are less into going to elite tight end or going to rookie tight end again and trying to get him to be elite. And if you're going to go to a guy, Bowers is no disrespect to Sam Laporta. Bowers is more talented than Sam Laporta. So that's the other side of that. Thought there was a shot we would get Kirk Cousins back, but this guy, so like, I know he's in the chat and I'm a little bit annoyed by it. What is Kirk Cousins doing for you in this build where you don't have any Atlanta? You already have Washington. The point of taking a third QB would be to game stack it up. Somebody probably would have taken Kirk before it got to me anyway, but like you don't have any Atlanta. You have 2 QBs already. One of whom is like you took in the top 100. It's not the time to take a third QB. So just a thing to point out that personally aggrieves me, but also like not a move to make either. So that's the combo platter there. He's a triathlon athlete now. He's saving his voice for his goal. Oh, he's talking about the fantasy flock. There you go. You open my super flex draft right now. Penix, but I'm not doing this. Probably wouldn't take Penix in super flex. Think that's going to be a tough one. Bo, if you need a QB, the other receivers are fine. If you want more thorough feedback than that, that's got to be a super chat, man. I'm not making picks for you midstream. I appreciate the idea, but I'm doing a draft here. Like, what am I going to manage your draft? But definitely Penix would be the worst pick out of that group. You're playing contingent value at that point. It's like drafting, again, I use the Hassan Haskins Tennessee thing. You're drafting Derrick Henry's backup and hoping that he's going to be involved, and the guy's just like a straight backup. Penix is going to get like fucking sneaky plays that aren't going to Kirk Cousins. It's just going to be Penix watching until Cousins falls apart. Musgrave goes there. Doesn't really affect me in any way. All right, so Roman Wilson, if I were you guys, I would not be drafting much Roman Wilson personally. Do think that's going the wrong way for him. Ray Davis, You know what? Here, we don't have a week 14 bye. Need to make it up at receiver. Gonna put my money where my mouth is. Would like to see some camp buzz for Troy Franklin at this point, but we're gonna take the Denver double here. No Cortland Sutton, who did have great red zone equity with Russell Wilson, but there's a shot that Sutton just doesn't get to the same heights he got to last year, isn't used the same way. Like, I think Peyton will try to use him there, but all that could be is just could be Bo Nix looking somewhere else on offense. And that could be running back, as well. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be just that Sutton. You lose the work to one of the receivers. Point being, though, I'll make the bet on Denver here. We'll be live for a late Bo Nix because we didn't get Kirk Cousins back. So that's how that goes. Okay, it's not anything personal. It's just you're doing a stupid pick and you're in my draft room. So again, I can't be more clear here. I'm the only one who I care about in these draft rooms. If you're coming into a draft room and you do something stupid that also hurts me, your dumb logic doesn't make it better, especially when you're not a paying member. If you have dumb logic and you're a paying member, I'll go, all right, well, here's what maybe I would do instead. When it's dumb logic and you're not a paying member, thumbs down, please fix it, is how I feel about that. But that's how it goes. Roman Wilson does little comp. Again, it's not really a little comp. It's that they're viewing him right now, not even in the hunt for wide receiver too. Again, the athletic guy there, Mark Caboli, is like one of the better sourced guys. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's just Pittsburgh gives him the best intel, something like that. Or maybe Pittsburgh, doesn't want to give sources to the Post Gazette or the local paper is. Does have pretty good reads on things. He had mentioned Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, and there's another receiver there. Who's the third? Who's not Roman Wilson? And like these guys are competing for the wide receiver 2 job. It's really not a run out that's going to go well for Roman Wilson right now. You can believe in the talent or whatever, but he just shouldn't be going where he's going. Like, I think that there's a more live opportunity for Jalen Polk to have a good role. Frankly, a more live opportunity for Quentin Johnston. Troy Franklin right now, that's more of a personal belief for me than it is any team signal, but I think there's an opening there that he can seize. Mims is going to get some more work there because Judy was his big blocker. So to me, like, those are kind of the main things to look at when you are evaluating your guys. And if Roman Wilson is going to go at 70, sure, but he shouldn't even be ahead of like Adam Thielen, I don't think, at this point. And an offense too that's like not going to be the highest pass rate offense. Like, it's not helping anybody out. I'm not banning him because he's been he's fine enough in chat. It's just stupid logic and it actively hurt me, but it's fine. We move on here. And also, again, for the logic, really, if you are taking 2 QBs from the same game, it just doesn't do anything for you in week 17. Like, it's something I learned, the way too last year, where like I thought there was a logic and like, hey, you're giving yourself 2 outs for the same thing. But the data does support just having a second game stack, having a third game stack. Like, those are the things that are going to make your team have a shot at popping more, to have the EV, even just in sims, like not even an actualized EV, but to have like that sim ROI be higher, you want to have like as many game stacks as possible. I think ETR put out another article with Mike Leone, who's probably, I would say, the best data guy at this in the business right now, in terms of analyzing past data and trying to make it reflect. Him and Hayden, I would say, probably the 2 that I think I would trust the most, following their leads. For those guys, like, I think that, or for Leone's article on ETR, it was really saying that like 3 QBs can be viable. And that's something to me, I still don't like buy that functionally, because you really have to get your draft capital right at running back, right at wide receiver, right at tight end to not justify having an extra at one of those positions. But 3 QB builds, apparently just having that stacking is like the most important part you could do for your team to have that sim ROI. So like, if you're taking 3 QBs, I still don't think it's the right move, but make sure you're actually getting your third QB correlated with something rather than just taking a guy for nothing. Yeah, you did call me Shags or Slags are the ones when people can't spend the fucking 1 second to look up the word P on their laptop or their phone or whatever the case may be. It's okay, though. We persevere nevertheless, as always. All right, a 1472 here. Luke McCaffrey would be valid with the bet that we have on Washington, Atlanta. Demarcus Robinson would be an interesting bring back for Arizona that I'm not getting enough of. I think that's the way we're going to go here. We're going to go Demarcus Robinson for wide receiver 8. And then at this point, I'm inclined to just not get scooped on Bo Nix. Khalil Herbert would be an okay pick here, but I think we can get similar plays later on. I'm just going to grab Bo Nix here at 181. My ranking on Bo Nix is 192, so going a little bit ahead of some other guys, but we don't need a wide receiver 9 for the team with with Luke McCaffrey, and we have this Denver double we have to close off. So the team is a Kyler Murray, Bo Nix team, and I think right now, maybe not in terms of the pure upside if this guy plays, I think a Bo Nix team is more valid as a 2 QB build right now, especially if you have Kyler as QB1. I think it's more valid than a 2 QB build with Drake May, a 2 QB build with JJ McCarthy right now, because there's a probability on the board that those guys just don't start this year. It's now not a 0% chance like it is for Bo Nix. It's like definitely something to me that worries me for taking those guys late in a 2 QB build. Like McCarthy, if the Vikings are a smart team. Smart teams play their rookies early because you have that guy then, you know what he is, and you're developing him as hard as possible in a time period where it makes the most benefit for your team in terms of structuring the cap around him, having that discounted rookie deal. So like a smart team plays JJ McCarthy early. The Vikings are smart teams, but they still seem like there's no first team reps for him at all. It's all Darnold. Darnold is looking good. I think it's unlikely that JJ McCarthy starts the year at this point. For New England, they're a team that they just have to have enough hopium where they're 6 and 7 heading into their Week 14 bye, and you don't see Drake May play then because they're going to be like, oh, we could still make the playoffs as a wild card. They have to be, I think, eliminated to get Drake May out there, unless May really crushes at camp and Brissett fails. Brissett's the kind of QB that's not going to fail. So that's my roundabout way for coping with taking Bo Nix at 181. But really, I do think in this room in particular, like where the picks left are McCarthy, May, and Bo Nix. Bo Nix is the one who's going to start there. Derek Carr is the most likely starter out of all of them, but like Nix is like, I would say 90% shot to start. I think that May and McCarthy, I would say they're plus money to start Week 1. Probably, I would say, I think there's a 10% chance for Drake May to start Week 1, 33% chance for JJ McCarthy to start Week 1. By Week 17, I'd guess it's like 50-50 Drake May, 60-40 McCarthy. It just comes down to how those teams are doing. If they're winning, they're just not going to pull their guy. Anyway, that's my take on that. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, you need to keep talking about it. Run a lap. I don't care. You just did something stupid that fucked up my team for you to build a dumber team. So there we go. Run a lap. Run a lap. Try not to go enter a draft between 10:45 and 11 o'clock a.m. on the East Coast. All right. Let's give the team a read here because we extrapolated a lot about Bo Nix and late QBs there. 2-4-8-2 build is what we have right now. We have Kyler Murray and Bo Nix. Theoretically, you could take a third QB if it aligned, but I don't know what would. Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson Jr., Marshawn Lloyd, Marvin Harrison, not a junior on here, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Jahan Dotson, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and Demarcus Robinson as our Arizona bring back. Of course, we got the double that includes Trey McBride, that includes Brock Bowers. I'm going to see what comes back to me because I think there's one maybe interesting thing I could do with my last 2 picks, but it depends on what happens between now and then. Wasn't the banhammer, was the go take a lap, stop talking about it, and stop trying to justify making a dumb pick. It's really the logic there. But it's just a lap. A lap is like a warning here to back off. The ban is what comes when you're Jeremy and you're in 33% of my drafts and won't pay $5 a month to join the channel, despite, again, really obsessive level of being on things. But still have that Facebook page open. Whenever we have to fill time on a stream and want to show Jeremy's life, if he's going to be a weirdo stalker, we still have that in the bag as well. Fields and May, these guys appropriate. This range of being McCarthy, Fields, May, that's how the ADPs should go. There's a guy that should be drafted ahead of them that's still on the board, but we'll talk about that in one moment here. Also, one thing that I thought was interesting, Dylan Labe getting first team work, not serious work, just pass game downs. But there was a quote from Luke Getsy about how he's picking up the offense well. He's apparently also getting pass down work already. Probably a good sign for him, probably a bad sign for Madison, but we'll see what happens there. So I think Derek Carr would be fun here. The issue is like we're a little thin at RB. I mean, these 3 guys, especially Aaron Jones, with his health issues. I think let's go Labe for one of the picks. I think that there's a shot that he could be this year's Kyron Williams. It's not my higher probability ones. Audric Estime, I still think is the most live to do that in round 18. Eric Gray, you can make the case. Like, there's enough guys to make the case for. Labe is now one of those guys because of frankly, Zamir White's not that talented. So that's going to be one of the picks here. Correlates with our bet on Brock Bowers. And I wish there were a New Orleans back to take here. Jamal Williams doesn't really do much for me. I think it's kind of fun to go A.T. Perry here. Could also do like a Yoshivas for a Cincinnati bring back. I'm going to go A.T. Perry. We've got the bet on Vegas here. A.T. Perry, not a guy I draft often. We did go only 4 receivers in the top 100 picks, so I think we can justify going 9 deep there. So it's a 2-5-9-2 build. We have Kyler Murray and Bo Nix. We have Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson Jr., Marshawn Lloyd, and Dylan Labe at running back. Maybe a little too thin at running back, but I do think all these guys have roles to start the year with potential for big upside. I think a better 5th RB would feel better, but obviously we did what we did. Marvin Harrison, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Jahan Dotson, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Demarcus Robinson, and A.T. Perry. So we have a Denver double with Bo Nix. We have Washington as our little bring back on Atlanta. We have the Rams as a bring back to Arizona. Got enough week 17 correlation going. Zay Flowers correlates with Houston. Jordan Addison correlates with Lloyd. Lloyd, by the way, good camp reports as well. Very elusive, apparently, according to all the beat guys, to the point where they can't believe their eyes. And a tight end, Trey McBride and Brock Bowers, both guys also week 17 correlated here. I think this came out well. I think this team is a solid one. I'm happy to have done it. All right. I think we're going to cap it here, right? Let's cap it. On a Wednesday, I'm thinking about it. No. Let's cap it here. We got to save some drafts. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run through plugs real fast. Promo code SPLASH on Underdog, the best way to support the show, up to $250 in deposit match for you if you use the promo code SPLASH at Underdog right now. So please do that. Probably, again, a great day yesterday. We went 4-1 in our top 5, also to plus 500. Randall Grichuk home run hit. And that's just in content. That's just me doing bets at 9 o'clock a.m. The mark data gets more powerful as the day goes on. So check it out for yourself at probably.com/subscribe. I'm pointing at my crotch. Check it out at probably.com/subscribe. Promo code SPLASH gets you half off a month and for the rest of this week. And then it's done. Gets you half off a year. So go check that out. And also leave 5 stars interview for Probably on the App Store, because we are doing our giveaway of a guest hosting spot. I think next Tuesday is when I'm going to do it on stream. So get those in. That'll give you enough days to get it in. But go do it right now. 5 stars interview for Probly, Probly on the App Store. Stochastic, if you're playing DFS, get 15% off with the promo code SPLASH on there. Lots of great tools on Stochastic, great data as well for stuff like WNBA. They even have best ball rankings that I think are free. You don't need to use those. Use the Spags rankings, but go check it out at Stochastic. And Drafters as well, another presenting sponsor on Saturdays. Go deposit right now using that promo code SPLASH. Gets a $100 deposit match. Their Drafters Million has no playoff pods, 17 weeks, a full point PPR. And we had a lot of people in the community finish top 100, including me, just finished that top 110. So that's how it went last year on Drafters. Their $15 tournament, the best rake back in the biz as well. So go use that promo code SPLASH on Drafters right now. Hit the join button down below, and you can be on this screen here. Thank you to all the fine folks that we put on the show. I gave my personal appeal earlier here that I should have used on draft number 100 stream, but really the videos here, doing the work here is a big part of things, and your support goes a long way to try to figure out what the long-term picture looks for myself. After getting really just knifed in the back by the godfather of football analytics website. So please support your boy here. Hit the join button down below. Get 10 team reviews a month from me, a VIP Discord, and also my Spags rankings updated weekly. And of course, follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Gamble responsibly. And if you want another draft from me, you're going to have to come back tomorrow around 11 a.m. and get it. I'll see you then. Enjoy your days and good luck. Bye-bye.